Good afternoon. Now, do some of the objectors have to leave? Sorry, turn on your mic, please. No, but any of you who are here now, do you have to leave? Because we were going to, if you needed to leave, we were going to switch the order and have the objections go first. But if it's not necessary, no, you're all able to stay.
It's not necessary now. I think we should do it
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Are we ready to go live?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. So welcome to RBKC's Licensing Subcommittee, and thank you for attending. This hearing is being live streamed. I'm Councillor Janet Evans, and I will be chairing this meeting. The committee for this hearing comprises Councillor Priti Hud, Councillor Abdullahi Noor, and me. Can you hear me? Okay, what we do ask is that you speak directly into the microphone, because if you look away or whatever, we won't hear you properly. We are joined by Paul Phelan from the Council's licensing team, our legal officer, Lindsay Lemassurier. Also with us are our committee officers, Holly Weaver, Daniela Healy, and Jerome Treherne. Before we start the hearing for this case, just a few ground rules. Please keep your microphones on mute until you are invited to speak, as only 2 microphones can be in use at any one time. Please make sure your mobile phones are on silent. Thank you. The case before us today is to grant a license for Chez Louis, 184A Kensington Park Road, London, W11. Now, for declarations of interest, I confirm that I have no declaration of interest to make regarding this item. Do the other members have any declarations to make? Councillor?
None, thank you, Chair.
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, colleagues. For clarity, I will outline the procedure of the meeting, which has already been circulated with the papers. First, the licensing officer, Mr. Phelan, will give us a brief outline of the application. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Good afternoon, Chair. Present.
Then I will ask the applicant's legal advisor, Ms. Lana Tricker, to present her submission. She will have up to a maximum of 10 minutes to do so. She is joined by Mr. Sharif Ansar and Mr. The other one's not here. Okay. Thank you. Okay, one sec. And Mrs. Tricker will be able to help with questions. Please, could you all confirm your attendance? Thank you. Then questions may be asked of the applicant by members of the committee, the legal officer, and the objectors. Next, the objectors. I understand there's been a change. Mr. Joshua Van Ralt is not here, and Sophia Goudet is not here. Okay. And who?
And Gina Cohen.
Oh, I don't have her on.
I know, she's just turned up, Gina Cohen.
She's here.
Yeah.
Gina Cohen, you're here? I see. Okay, thank you.
So just list all the other people.
Yeah, yeah. Then questions may be asked of the objectors by members of the committee, the legal officer, and the applicant. After this, we will ask our legal officer, Ms. Lemassurier, to deal with any further questions of the objectors. And she will then lead on the draft conditions session. The list of potential conditions has been circulated to all of the parties prior to the hearing. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. Then finally, we will turn to the governance team to see if any issues have been raised that we need to consider. There will be no summing up, and the meeting will end. I would like to remind everyone that the committee has read the papers, which comprises the main pack and the additional submissions. They've all been circulated to the party, so there's no need to repeat their content, please, but do draw our attention to certain points and pages. Let's get going. Mr. Phelan, can you outline the case for us and advise if there has been any additional documentation received?
Chair, members of the subcommittee, good afternoon. The matter before you today is an application by Che Louise Limited for the grant of a premises licence in respect of 184A Kensington Park Road, London, W11 2ES. The premises previously traded as Haya Restaurant and benefited from a premises licence which lapsed on the 31st of May 2024, when the previous licensee, Haya Restaurant Limited, went into administration. The lapsed licence permitted late-night refreshment indoors, recorded music indoors, and sales of alcohol both on and off the premises. The application before you today is for a new premises licence for the provision of recorded music indoors, late-night refreshment indoors and outdoors, and the sale by retail of alcohol both on and off the premises. A list comparing the previously permitted activities and timings, and those sought by way of today's new grant application, is included at page 6 of today's papers. A copy of the lapsed licence is attached at Appendix A, with a copy of the current new grant application attached at Appendix B. A copy of the supporting plan is also attached at Appendix C. The application has attracted a total of 10 representations which oppose this new grant application. A summary of these representations is provided at pages 10 and 11 of the report, with full copies of the representations attached at Appendix D. Council records indicate that no noise nuisance complaints have been received in the preceding 24 months period. Council records also indicate that the premises has not been the subject of any temporary event notices within the previous year. The Planning Department has not made a formal representation in connection with this application, but as an informative for the subcommittee, the Planning Department have confirmed that the premises is situated within a conservation area and currently do not hold listed building status. Planning has also noted that no pertinent planning history is associated with the address provided. Planning permission was previously granted for the installation of an advertisement and alterations to shop front. However, it is important to note that external alterations to the building may require planning permission, as may any change of use. A copy of the planning officer's comments is included at Appendix E of today's report. Finally, Chair, I can confirm that there's been one additional document circulated ahead of this hearing. This document was a 40-page submission by the applicant and was circulated on the 30th of April 2025. You will now hear from the applicant and those who have made representations. I'm happy to provide any further clarification as required. I'll leave it there for now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan. Now for the applicant's case. Ms. Tricker, please can you advise if there have been any amendments to your application?
No, Chair.
Okay. Please can you now represent your submission? You have up to 10 minutes to do so.
Thank you and good afternoon. As we've heard, this is an application for a new grant premises licence, as the pre-existing licence for Haya lapsed due to insolvency in May 2024. So my clients had to apply for a new licence, and this application is sought having regard to the viability of the business, the location, and of course having regard to the licensing objectives and the Council's statement of licensing policy. I've done written submissions, as we've heard, with additional concessions on conditions after reflection on the residents' concerns, and I'll refer to these throughout my presentation. I begin by the operating style, as concern was raised by this by the residents. I've included pictures and a menu in my documents. The premises isn't a bar, it's not a party restaurant as feared, it's a food-led bistro business. The formal dining room is on the ground floor and the basement is for more casual dining. There's a service bar upstairs and a bar downstairs. It's basically the same layout as what Haya was. Being a community local premises, we wanted some flexibility and the area to be less formal in the basement premises. Basements are typically very hard to sell to patrons as a formal dining space due to the lack of light. So patrons can come in, have a croissant and coffee or just a glass of champagne if they want. And the basement's also a holding area for the formal dining room upstairs, but it's also food-led downstairs as well. So food is served downstairs for people waiting for a table, etc. The hours sought do not lend itself to a nightclub or a late-night bar. This isn't what the brand is by any means. Comments being made by a few residents about Bagatelle's premises in Westminster. Yes, it's the same group, but there is no comparison that can be made. Bagatelle's in a different borough, different location. It's in Dover Street, different conditions, different hours, much later, and different clientele. Having said that, Bagatelle has not been a problematic venue with that council, and no enforcement issues have ever taken place. But again, Bagatelle and Chez Louis are completely different concepts under different umbrellas within the parent company. At Chez Louis, we don't want people standing all over. This is not the intention, and we've conditioned it that there's waitress service and seating throughout, except at the basement bar area for understandable reasons. There'll also be stools, however, at the bar, so we're not trying to cram people in. By any means, it's not the business model. The food is French bistro inspired, as the menu shows. Similarly, the music's not loud. We've got a sound limiter already in place, and we're happy to have that as a condition, as the residents have requested, and as said in the additional papers. And we'll work with EH and the residents to set this at a reasonable level so as not to cause nuisance. This is a food-led premises, as I've said, on the ground floor especially, and this will be set at a level to allow people to converse and people to hear each other. We note there's no representations from environmental health, and we've already agreed conditions or offered conditions based on the prevention of nuisance licensing objective, to the effect that there's no music or amplified sound, no music or vibration which gives rise to a nuisance, no spells which give rise to a nuisance, notices for people coming and going, sound limiter, as I've just said, dispersal policy, windows closed at 9 p.m. We've brought that forward, hearing the residents' concerns. No speakers in the foyer area or outside the premises. Audio equipment will be more mounted, and limiting smokers to 5 persons after 9 p.m. And smokers can't take drinks with them to prevent any lingering outside. We don't anticipate this to be a problem, however, given that this is a bistro operation and people there will typically be and stay for the seated dining meal. As mentioned above, we have a dispersal policy, we've conditioned it, and we will implement this, which includes a wind-down period even for the bistro operation. The good thing about this style of operation is there's no mass exodus of people. People come and go to eat their meals and will leave at staggered times, and they're easily managed and reminded about the residential area when they pay their bills, so it's very easily managed in terms of dispersal. Another point on noise is that the premises covers the ground, basement and the first floor, and we've conditioned that there's no licensable activities on the first floor. These are only toilets, and so that does provide a further buffer to residents above. My client has the most utmost respect for conditions and compliance and promoting the licensing objectives. They know the importance of working with the neighbours and authorities prior to opening, and they've agreed residents' meetings by way of condition. They've offered this, and they'll be writing to nearby residents shortly with their contact details and processes if we can get access, for example, to their flats when setting the noise limiter to ensure no noise disturbance. Hopefully we'll be opening in June sometime now. It's been pushed back from when my submissions were there. I do want to mention off sales. We understand the previous operator did have the seasonal pavement licence for the summer, and we would be interested in that. That's a separate application. That's not to be determined today, but we have related, the off sales provision does relate to that. And we've sought to limit that to 10 p.m, which, if granted, pavement licences are issued typically to that terminal hour. So we're not ceasing trying to become a bottle shop where open bottles, etc., are able to be gone, which is an understandable concern to the residents. So we've pared this right down, but with the change in regulations for the off sales, we do need to apply for this now. We've also sought to limit delivery times to the premises to avoid any issues with residents, and no deliveries we're happy to accept between 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. the following morning. Waste collection is already limited to between 7 and 11 p.m, and we'll be using the RBKC waste contractor. Staff and management will have full understanding of the restraints, and we have a condition dealing with training. They can be managed, and we certainly don't want to be on the radar of the residents. The premises is a commercial space, so it will be occupied, and my client has tried to balance the conditions with the neighbouring area, and a lot of conditions have been offered to promote the licensing objectives. Now, the main point for the residents are the hours. We note there's no EH or police objections to this application on hours or conditions, so no noise concerns or crime and disorder concerns from their perspective to the hours proposed. We have, however, since added further conditions in my submissions to reinforce the commitment to promoting the licensing objectives. The report also helpfully outlines the current hours permitted in the immediate area, and the hours range from 10:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. terminal hours. So if granted, we would be by far not the latest terminal hours in the immediate area. The premises also has a long history with licensing. There's been 3 prior guises that it's been trading under. Firstly, Rosso Pomodoro. That was from the conversion time, and that had hours which were late night refreshment to 12:30 Monday to Saturday and midnight Sunday, and alcohol to 11:30 midnight Monday to Saturday and 11:30 Sunday, and unrestricted recorded music from the conversion. Secondly, it then went to 184 Green and Grill, and that had the same hours as Rosso Pomodoro. And thirdly, Hire, whose licence is in the pack helpfully, and they had 11:30 p.m. alcohol and recorded music Monday to Sunday, and late night refreshment to 11:30 Sunday to Thursday, and midnight Friday to Saturday. So we applied for the same hours as what Hire had for licensable activities, which is slightly less than Rosso Pomodoro and 184 Green and Grill. And we've tried to be reasonable, yet also commercial, with rents and rates to pay. And we've offered conditions which try, and we say do offer protection to the residents. The hours of the premises have been sought as a location of the premises. It's a busy, well-known area in Notting Hill with a renowned number of restaurants in the local area. Yet there are a lot of residents, and we acknowledge that. But this premises has been licensed since well before the transition to the Licensing Act 2003. And that's the point, that this premises has been licensed for more than 25 years. So it's not a brand new premises to the neighbourhood. And even whilst Hire went into insolvency in 2024, the committee report shows that there was no complaint history in 2 years. So that was a year before it went solvent. There were no complaint history there. In terms of hours, we also say the guidance recommends the Licensing Act should avoid fixed settings and to look at the circumstances with the balance. And we do think that our application with the proposed conditions achieves this balance. This would mean that people can't just pop into a restaurant. We don't want a nightcap premises or anything like that. We're not trying to be unreasonable. What we do want with this application is some flexibility of attending the establishment without the individual having to consume a meal. It may be that 3 out of 4 people have a meal, and we want to retain those clientele for the premises, and it's needed for business. Now, members will want to make sure the conditions reflect the public nuisance licensing objectives, and which we appreciate, and as said before, then it's a balance that needs to be achieved. And we understand not all of our amendments will satisfy everyone on everything, but we do think they address the fears that have arisen. The premises isn't located in any cumulative impact area, and the licensing regime is permissive one unless there's good reasons to restrict the licence. There's a plethora of licence conditions which address the measures.
Excuse me, you're over.
Could I just 1 more minute just to say, or less than that, just to address the conditions?
Okay.
With respect
No,
to...
we're going to have a session for the conditions.
Oh, okay. If
You
I
don't
could
have
just say, they're all agreed from the applicant's perspective. There's no concern. There were just 2 points which required...
I just told you we're going to have a condition session.
Did you want to see the clarifications?
You must be paid by the hour if you want to get it all in now. They paid you for 1 hour.
I'm happy to wait for the conditions.
I think that's a good idea.
2 clarifications that were requested about
I
off
just
sales.
told you we're going to discuss
Okay.
it in the condition session.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Councillor Hudd.
It's all right. Yeah. Hi there, thank you for the presentation. I just have two very simple questions. Could you just confirm what is the capacity of your restaurant?
Certainly, it's the same as what hire was. So it is, I've got it written down, 38 seats are upstairs and 40 in the basement.
Okay. And this is all seated?
Correct.
Right, okay. And in the basement, you also have sort of holding capacity as well for the restaurant?
That's included within that in terms of the seatings and the stalls.
Right, okay. And on the music front, do you plan to have live music, or is it just music in the background?
It's music being played, so pre-recorded, yes.
Pre-recorded, okay. And finally, right. No, I think that's it. Thank you. Your presentation was very clear. Thank you.
Councillor Noor?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I understand that there's no licensable activities on the first floor, is that right? And I think, unless I misunderstood, you mentioned that you'll be willing to meet the local resident on a regular basis?
Correct, and that's in the proposed conditions. We'd originally offered it with the application as well. So there's a couple of aspects for that, which is us providing the DPS details to the residents as well. There'll be a signage at the front of the premises with contact details as well, and then the residents' meetings as well.
And in terms of not inside the building, the outside the building, I mean, what controls do you have? Customers leaving the premises?
Well, the controls we have, that will be dictated by the dispersal plan to deal with that. We're lucky because it is a food-led bistro business, so people won't be leaving the whole capacity at the end of the evening. People will hopefully book and come to the premises to deal with that, and they'll be leaving once they've done their meal. So in terms of controls, we're not a rowdy premises. It's not what this brand is within this group, within this Chez Louis brand, to deal with that. So there will be service, we'll have last orders, things will be wound down within the premises towards the terminal hour of the premises. But if someone leaves at, say, 8 p.m. as well, which is hopefully less than what the terminal hour would be, it would be up to the management and the staff that would be presenting their bill to the seated diners. There's a condition that everyone will be seated, and we'll be reminding people of the local area to deal with that, to leave quietly, but also to discuss how they're going to be leaving the premises. Hopefully this will be a community premises through there, so we will get people walking to the premises without vehicles, etc. But it will be a matter of communication with the patrons to deal with that. There'll also be management controls out the front of the premises as well. We have to cater for smokers out the front of the premises. We've limited that after a certain time, so there'll be staff members managing that as well and checking that. They're not allowed to take drinks outside, so there'll be fairly high staffed and members of management to control that as well.
Thank you.
I just have one question. What kind of events are you planning or do you anticipate?
Hello, Chair. It's in an event style. We're trying to be a bistro, and I think that's all we want to do. In terms of events, we're not trying to do a launch event. We're not trying to put anything off. We'll start with our soft launch, and we'll educate people about what we're trying to achieve. In terms of events, I can't see us putting on events, and we don't really want to advertise and advocate for that. What we do want to do is advocate for the La Bistro collection, which is completely different from our Bagatelle group, which is offering a food dynamic to what we're trying to achieve, which is why we've taken on Notting Hill first as a neighbourhood area, and then Mottcombs for a new site.
But also I think the capacity and the layout of the premises doesn't really lend itself towards events because it's relatively small numbers, and you can't really have events successfully over 2 floors as well.
Yeah, with regard to the tables inside, what is the capacity if someone wants to have a large group, or large in terms of restaurants, or a birthday party? What size are the tables if you put two together?
I think if you look at the plans, sorry, I'll turn my microphone on. The typical layout in terms of going around to the premises, they can't be adjusted that much because there's also fixed seating you'll see, especially
Yes.
in the basement space, the banquet seating, and also on the ground floor as well. So it's not a matter where the furniture can be cleared out, you know, if you in terms of that.
Yeah, there's no storage.
There's no storage for the other furniture within there. So
What you see is essentially there. The bones from the business prior. Aesthetically, we made the changes, but the bones of the business from the previous landlord was there.
So the tables are attached or not to the floor?
They won't be attached to the floor. However, as in terms of the layout there, that's the best we can do with that layout, just to answer the size.
I see.
So the style of tables, if you look at my additional papers that were circulated, there's some pages towards the back of that which talks about the indoor furniture, and there's pictures of tables, etc.
Great. Yeah, I realized they were inside. I just wanted to bring it to the general attention. Okay, that's all from me. Any questions from our legal officer?
Yeah, just a couple. In terms of off sales, you've offered a condition restricting it to 10 p.m. As well as a condition, are you happy for that to be on the front of the licence, just for off sales, from 11 till 10 p.m., just a belt and braces approach?
That's correct.
That's fine.
And we're not looking in terms of any delivery away from the premises for any off sales. We don't want to be a bottle shop. We don't want to be offering...
So nothing, so
no,
purely...
apart from the tables and chairs.
So you'll get your separate tables and chairs licence, and then your off sales will purely relate to that area there. Correct. So no one coming in, buying a bottle of wine, taking it away.
Correct.
No, you doing a delivery service anyway without alcohol?
We'd like that option to deal with that, as all the restaurants in the local area do it. I think when we first open, we won't be doing it because we'll be concentrating on the business itself, but it's the flexibility, yes. But we don't want alcohol with that.
Okay, thank you. Non-standard timings, I just wanted to check that they won't apply to off sales because that's finishing at 10, and it won't apply to late night refreshment outdoors because obviously that will finish at 10. Is that
Absolutely,
correct?
the pavement licence wouldn't issue that, yeah.
Thank you. I think that's it for me at the moment, thank you.
Any questions from the objector before you start your presentation? Mm-hmm. Turn on your microphone, please. No, yeah. Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to ask a question about what you class as pre-recorded music. So from what I understand, you will just have like a wall music system that streaming goes to, like Apple Music or Spotify or something like that.
Currently, at the moment, we use a Spotify system at Bagatelle when we're doing our house.
Yeah.
We'll do exactly the same as what we'll do for there. Again, it's not like we've got a DJ set up or anything in that location. We just can't afford it on the space.
Yeah.
The size of the business doesn't allow us to do that. So it's very much all set. Our sound system is set with limiters, but again, it's very much a recorded music system for
So it's just going to be ongoing and ongoing. Someone will press play at the beginning of the
It'll be
the
set
launch.
by computer. The system's getting installed this week, as in terms of the limiter got installed yesterday. So now I think the decor's just coming to an end. I think we'll handover's on the 19th, but by that time we should have all the music systems set up and all computer generated.
Okay. And will you guys be offering delivery services such as Deliveroo, Uber? Because we have a huge problem with that in the area, where the drivers are just sitting outside making a lot of noise, and we've managed to get on top of that now. But there's a worry of a new business coming in and kind of reshuffling that situation.
I think from my perspective anyway, I can't see us really going down the Deliveroo standard. I've never done that with Bagatelle. I don't suggest that we do it. I don't think that the food that we're going to be doing is going to be traveling well. So from my personal and the owner's perspective, we don't want to go down that line. And I think we don't want to be overpriced, but we don't want to cheapen the brand by sending it out on Deliveroo as well. So we've got to be very careful how we're moderating that. That doesn't mean that we don't want the flexibility. As the business, we have to understand Notting Hill's a new venture for us. But from our perspective right now, I cannot see delivery being mentioned.
Okay. And then my other question is in terms of, I've been at the property for about 5 years now. For 2 of those years, hire really hasn't been in existence. When I moved in, it wasn't doing very well. So they weren't staying open till their hours that they had licenses for, to be honest with you. Even some Sundays they wouldn't open. So for the past 12 months, obviously they've been shut, so we haven't had any noise. But prior to that, I'm the person that lives at the back of the building, and my bedroom is on top of your kitchen. And from what I know previously from my landlady is that hire moved the kitchen from the basement to the first floor. It used to be in the basement, which is why I'm suffering a lot of kitchen noise, even though the restaurant wasn't that busy. So I have staff going in at 5 a.m. when hire was open, and they're bashing all the ovens, all the metalware. I mean, I could hear them having full-on conversations. So for me, that's where, I have a real issue with the kitchen. So if your licensing is going to be even longer, my quiet time in my house is probably only going to be 3 or 4 hours. Because if you're closing at 11:30, 12, your staff won't be leaving for another hour and a half.
I think the best thing that we're here to help.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's the clear thing. I think one point that we know is obviously we spoke to the landlord as well, because we were trying to run the internet through the back door.
Yeah.
And I think there was some pressure on them to actually decorate that area, which they did, which was great. But I think from your perspective now, if we can gain access and we can see the problems, and we can just do some testing as well, there's going to be a sound check when we push forward on the 19th. We're more than happy to come in and just say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what we're doing. And then I can get someone I've got an acoustic technician that is happily a very good friend that will come down and see what we can do in terms of plating in that kitchen area to try and add some support to you.
Yeah, okay. My other question is, why, it might seem silly of me asking this, but why do you want a later license than any other kind of restaurants on that stretch?
I don't think that's, I think from looking at the terminal hours on the licenses through there, it might be that some restaurants choose to close a bit earlier, but certainly we're not the latest in that stretch in terms of hours through there. So it's a new venture to deal with that. We're looking at business viability to deal with that, and we want it to, for patron business.
Okay. Cool. I don't think I have any other questions at the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, have you, we'll deal with the objectors now. Have you, the woman who just spoke, you are Miss
Charlotte Chamberlain-Taylor.
Okay. Have you seen the list of the closing times of the other restaurants?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Because they're not out of sync and they're not asking for anything more than the previous license.
It's not, I think the thing is with hire is that they actually didn't use their hours at all. They closed like an hour earlier than the license was actually given. So, and I think that was a conversation that they had with the tenants anyway, that they weren't going to be maximizing their opening hours anyway, even though they had the license in place.
Yeah, well, and it closed.
And sorry?
It was a failing business and it closed.
Yes, but
So
even
now
before that.
Yeah, well, now, first of all, we have to deal with the new applicants.
Sure.
Okay, and I don't think we can tarnish their application with past experience.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you to mention it, but I don't think we can tarnish their application with that.
No, I'm not tarnishing it. I'm just making a point of that I think the majority of restaurants in the area, they may have licenses of the same hours that they're requesting, but the majority of them don't use them.
Do you understand there's a 30% failure rate in the hospitality area right now?
Yes, I do.
And that's probably why, unfortunately.
I don't think the area is an area that where people eat late. I think it's more they like to eat early, and most people leave at around 10. I think that's just how the area is. It's not about that that the businesses aren't working. It's just I think that's the kind of area that Notting Hill is. That's all it is. I think if people want to eat late, they usually go further into town.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll now go for the objector's case. We'll start with Mr. Petrius. Are you all going to speak, first of all? You're not speaking, and your name is?
Tracy Durkin.
Okay. So, sorry?
So Tracy's not speaking. Gina, are you speaking? Sorry, I don't know your name.
She's not.
Yes, I'd just say something at the end if that hasn't been covered, if that's all right.
What's your name, sorry, please?
Nicolette Bolgar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who is representing that?
Okay, so who is the lead speaker? Mr. Petrius?
Mr. Petrus, yes, that's me.
Okay, so let's start with you.
Great.
You have 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to speak. My name is John Paul Petrus. I own and live in the flat directly above Chez Louis. I'm here on behalf of concerned residents regarding Chez Louis' licensing application. Whilst we welcome a well-run neighborhood restaurant, we strongly oppose the proposed changes that would turn it into a potentially a late-night venue incompatible with the residential character of this area. Point 1, noise and late-night disturbance. Chez Louis is located in the heart of a residential neighborhood with flats directly above and adjacent. Extending hours to allow music and service until 11:30 p.m. or later 7 days a week is simply inappropriate. Noise doesn't stop when the music ends. Conversation, cars, doors slamming continue well after, disturbing peace and sleep. Prior tenants caused issue under even shorter hours, and this will only be worse. Furthermore, noise of closure internally, such as what Charlie was speaking about in the kitchen, after the doors are closed, continues for at least 30 minutes to 1 hour more. Proposed mitigations like signage or self-managed door closures are unenforceable. Once guests are on the street, the disruption is out of the restaurant's control. We request keep closing time at 11 p.m. with kitchen closure earlier, require a noise limiter, and restrict any amplified sound after 9 p.m. I would also strongly request additional soundproofing to be installed into the ceiling. I find it interesting that you say the music will only be pre-recorded or streaming because as of today, through the contractor installing the noise limiter just before I left my flat for this meeting, I learned that there will be live DJs. This should not fall into the category of pre-recorded. The noise limiter is appreciated, but I've made some recordings today with the music on and when the gentleman, Chris, came to measure the noise in my flat to gauge. I can email those videos later, but I'd also like to play these at the end of the rest of my case here. All noise must be limited, whether it is recorded or live, i.e. DJs. Please detail this in point 28. I would also like to disclose that I have a heart condition. Any additional stress, such as noise nuisance, to my condition can truly affect my well-being. Point 2, alcohol sales and off sales. Serving alcohol until midnight increases the risk of public nuisance. Combined with off sales until 10 p.m., this invites street drinking, loitering, and public disorder, which are all unacceptable in a residential street. Local precedent matters. Other venues nearby do not offer off sales, and there's no reason that Chez Louis should be an exception. Request, prohibit off sales, restrict alcohol license to 10:30 p.m., and ban outdoor consumption after 9 p.m. Smoking. The proposed license would create an unbearable smoking nuisance. Venues like Chez Louis attract clientele who smoke cigars as part of their social experience. These patrons would congregate directly beneath residential windows, forcing smoke into family bedrooms and living areas. This needs to be stopped and prevented. As a resident living above such an establishment, I've experienced this firsthand, cigarette and cigar smoke infiltrating my home, making rooms uninhabitable, and posing documented health risks to myself and to other people who live in the building, including Safia, who had to leave early because of the meeting running late. She has a young child and lives above me. The proposed solutions offer no protection whatsoever against this intrusion. Number 3, a shift away from restaurant use. The extended hours and music license imply a pivot toward a lounge or party venue, not a peaceful dining establishment. I heard what you said earlier, but it still has those implications from the history of the group. And also from what the gentleman installing the noise limiter this morning told me. This fundamentally changes the character of the premises and violates the spirit of its original approval. Most local businesses close by 10 p.m. Granting this application sets a dangerous precedent for creeping commercialization of a residential zone. Request: reject expanded hours and amplified music. Maintain a traditional restaurant model closing by 11 p.m. with no outdoor service late to night. Number 4, impact on families, children, and the elderly. This is a family-oriented area. Many residents include young children, elderly individuals, and working families. Late-night noise negatively impacts sleep, health, and overall quality of life. A lot of us need to go to bed by 10 o'clock, be up by 6:30 to do our work life. There's no meaningful plan in place to manage dispersal. Passive signs are not a solution, neither are vague promises of compliance. Request: implement an active staff-led dispersal policy. Restrict outdoor smoking and noise after 9 p.m. Final position: we do not oppose Chez Louis' existence. We want it to thrive as a respectful, community-oriented restaurant. I am the first to support local businesses. But we do oppose any transformation into a nightlife venue which this application signals. Our community respectfully requests kitchen close at 10 p.m., full restaurant closure by 11 p.m., no amplified music after 9 p.m., no off-sales alcohol, outdoor service ends by 9 p.m., no smoking outdoors, mandatory noise limiter, and staff-managed dispersal. Let's protect the balance between local business and residential well-being. Thank you. I do have these videos with the recording of the music, which I can show on my phone, or if I can attach it to the screen somehow.
Excuse me, did you take these videos this morning?
Yes, just 10 minutes before I left.
And what music was it?
I mean, I can play it for you.
They were doing a noise
test.
They were doing a noise test in the restaurant.
So they were doing a noise test. This isn't music that's actually played.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
but
you do.
But I could still hear it. The point is.
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
It was about 11:45.
What's your view, Ms. Tricker, on them playing?
I don't see how it's relevant in that sense, is that this was a noise limiter setting, actually the installation of the limiter through there. The condition we've agreed is that we will consult with environmental health for the final limiter setting, and with the residents, as I said, in getting access to their premises so they can hear. So Sharif is here as the director.
Could I say something?
I'm very happy to go ahead and put it on record that if there's any fear about having DJs and everything out there, I will happily put a stop to that immediately.
Well, I've just discussed it with our lawyer, and this was the man or woman who was installing played the music for you?
They had the music playing in the restaurant,
okay,
and he
so
was measuring
it
it
makes
in my
sense
flat.
that if they're having an installation, that they test all levels.
Of course.
So
But
it's not
curious
relevant to discuss it here.
Of course, Chair, but I am
During
curious as to why he confirmed to me that there will be DJs. I'm actually very curious
He's a
as to why he
third-party
said that.
contractor. You've heard from Sharif as the operations director to deal with that.
As far as it is with Gallin, and It's an honourable question, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know. So please let me get to the bottom of that. But at the same time, I'm very, very confident about what my wishes are, which is this is not supposed to be a DJ environment. We're not pushing down that boundary. We respect the areas of the neighbours. We are going to try and work with you as best as we possibly can. The conditions, what we're trying to achieve, is very much for a restaurant that can operate till that time. So we'll be as respectful as possible with that.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that, because I want to go back to Haya. So we leaseholders of the building, we actually had a private meeting with them, and they did agree to close 30 minutes earlier than their license allowed because of the private meeting. That private meeting was at the request of Haya, so that's why we didn't come to the council. So, and also, as Charlie mentioned, they did close at least 30 minutes earlier than they were licensed to, and because it's very much a family type venue, people were usually done eating by 10 o'clock at the latest. So we just want to maintain that. We want to maintain that sort of atmosphere in the neighborhood.
Can I just mention that?
Absolutely, yes.
The playing of recorded music is deregulated anyway until 11 p.m. But I think it's between 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. live music, recorded music. We can't control that. They've asked for recorded music between 11 a.m. and 23:30, so half an hour over. So between 11 and 11, the council would not be able to control that anyway. It's just the extra half an hour on the end. I mean, the councillors, I mean, if Mr. Tricker and the applicant is happy to listen to the recording, we will, but obviously we've taken on board it is just testing at this phase. I mean, if you want to play it and they're happy, the councillors will listen to it, but obviously bearing in mind all that we just said.
Can I make a suggestion, please? I understand your point, and it makes sense, but it actually makes sense if you could record it after 11 o'clock. Before 11 o'clock, our hands are tied. It's deregulated. So it would make sense if that happens, and you record it, and you call, you can make a complaint straight away, not the next day, do it straight away. You have your recording, and that would make sense. If you need any of the emails for making a complaint or the phone number, we will give it to you after the session if you need it.
Sure, I understand very well, but I just want to try to nip any problems in the bud before they happen. I don't want to have a problem.
But all they were doing was testing.
Sure, no, I know, but I'm just saying that it was very audible, and they said it was 33 decibels, and it could go 3 decibels lower, and it was still very audible. So, but my main point is that it was, as it was being tested, the gentleman confirmed to me that there would be DJs live.
How does he know?
Well, he's a contractor. He works for them.
He's a contractor, so how does he know that?
I'm just telling what he told me, saying what he said to me. So I would appreciate if that is, if you can promise that that's not the case.
I'll put your mind at ease on that, okay?
We take your point, and let's just move on, please. Okay, did you want to carry on, or can someone else speak now?
Thank you, Chair. I'm finished with my...
Thank you very much. Who's speaking next? You're Ms. Durkin?
I'm Nicolette Bolgar.
I don't even have her on. Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm a flat owner directly opposite Chez Louis. I'm an old soldier. I've been there for 40 years. I've seen out a number of Rosso Pomodoros and other grills. Basically, I get ill if I don't sleep. So I am hoping, when I read your proposal, I thought, too loud and too long. You're setting my mind at rest about a lot of that, but if there's any way that things can be put in, although you're saying you're going to give a number for somebody to ring on the day to turn something down, or, you know, we know that we can talk to environmental health after a certain amount of time. And if there's any way of avoiding all of that, because we are people who do that. I mean, it's sort of, there's no point in starting a battle if there's a way to avert it beforehand. Obviously, we want local businesses to thrive. It's much better than having somewhere that's unoccupied. What else did I want to say? As far as people leaving quietly and so on, are you thinking of getting a kind of bouncer person for entry and exit?
Not an employed security officer through that, so management will deal with...
Just with waiters and so
correct.
on? Okay.
And it will be staffed adequately to deal with that. With the kitchen closing 1 hour before in terms of last orders, being 1 hour before in terms of their dispersal policy, there'd be an opportunity for staff to be relocated to assist with any people leaving at that time.
Okay.
And if I can just reassure you that in relation to the limiter, as I said, there's a proposed condition that EH will be consulted in terms of that. I did say to the third-party contractor it's helpful if you go up to a landing, you know, a common area, to do some testing so that you can hear things through there, which must be what he was doing. But also it will need to be set with the contact of the residents, and you would be perfect being directly above as well, so that we can set and have a reasonable limit set with the environmental health team.
We live fairly harmoniously above Osteria Basilico, which you'll be aware of currently. Sometimes I have to talk to them if the extractor fan's on late or something like that. You can have a point of contact. I think Tracy was very worried about only having the front windows to open for air in summer and if there's noise coming across. So again, it's just going to be the noise factor. We just don't have music in our restaurant. And it's incredibly busy. It's one of the successful ones that stayed. And it really works. They're really considerate about, like, the staff leave about an hour after all the patrons. They're very considerate about everything. So it's just following that model, basically. That is, for me, would be the benchmark of, you know, harmonious living with the residents. We don't expect everything to be quiet. We live in the carnival route. You know, we're not people who are difficult or against that, but we are really worried about you. So, you know, whatever you can do to make that.
Understandably, and we'll also provide, as per the conditions, but we would have done it anyway, contact details, sort of a dedicated phone number as well. And hopefully we'll invite you down as well so that you can actually meet the people.
Yes,
so you know them face to face as well when they're coming and going.
Soft launch, that's us. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, that was very helpful. Next, who would like to speak next?
I mean, I think I pretty much said everything previously.
Yes,
so
there's no need to repeat.
You want me to repeat it?
No, I'm saying there's no need to.
Yeah,
repeat.
no, exactly. No, I think so. I think it's, generally for me, it's just the same. It's like, I run a small business, so I get it. I want everyone to thrive in businesses. I think it's really important for the community to help each other. It's more about just, it is a kind of, Notting Hill is a vibe of just like everyone kind of goes to bed at like 10, 11 and watches Yellowstone. Do you know, it's just, we're not out partying, and I think it's nice if all the restaurants are kind of on the same level, and that's all it is for me. One thing is, are you increasing any extraction at all, or are you using the existing extraction that's there? Okay. That's, okay, great. Thank you.
Tracy? No. Okay, then I think they're all done. We'll now have questions for the objectors from our committee. Councillor Hudd.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Petrius. And our apologies we were late, but our previous hearing got delayed, so it just sort of rolled over. So apologies. I know some of you had to leave early. Before I ask you a question, I'm just going to ask Ms. Tricker. The sound limiter, is it controlled by you, or who's controlling the sound limiter?
Sorry? It's being locked to deal with that, so it'll be set in the usual way, which is we put what we want or what's appropriate to
so you can actually adjust the sound limiter?
No, we can't adjust it. So we put what we want, then we invite environmental health down, they'll check it and hopefully go to the residents' places to check whether or not it's disturbing, and then it gets locked, so it can't be adjusted by anyone in there.
Thank you. So, Mr. Peters, that should really give you some comfort, because they will not be able to, modify the sound, because it's controlled somewhere else.
Yeah, that's
and it's
great.
been
That's
used in the past, and it's very successful.
Great, appreciate
So
it.
that should give you some comfort.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to ask you as well, you mentioned somebody called Chris. Who is he? Was it the chap who was installing the sound system?
Yes, not the sound system, the sound limiter.
Okay, fine. So that's fine. The other thing that slightly struck me is, and please forgive me if I'm wrong in my assumption, that your assumption is that this restaurant is not, both Ms. Stricker and Mr. Ansar has said that it's more of a bistro feel with the music playing in the background. And I think you slightly fear that it's becoming what you describe as a nightlife venue.
Yes, that's correct.
And I think they both said that that's not the idea.
Yeah.
The idea is to have a nice restaurant, and I think it's just the modern vibe, isn't it? Every restaurant you go to, there's music in the background.
Yeah, I am comforted by what you said at the beginning, but I am aware of Bagatelle and
Fair
the
point.
reputation.
He's
so.
100% right.
No, fair
Bagatelle
point.
is Bagatelle, and you've got every right to be, I understand completely. But you have to understand we've got a new umbrella brand, which is LBC, which is La Bistro Collection. We've already taken a site on Motcombe Street with a large outside area with 70 seats, similar inside to Notting Hill.
Okay.
We're well adjusted and we know what we're operating now. We're going to the neighbourhood areas. We want to be part of Notting Hill. It's a fantastic area.
That's good to hear. I will add that I have lived harmoniously with all the restaurants except 184 Green and Grill since I purchased the flat and moved in 2006. So I've always had a good relationship with the restaurants, and I'm hoping that we can have that as well.
Okay. And then there was something... and I think, Ms. Bolgar, you make very good observations. And as you say, I know exactly Osterio Basilica. I know that area very well. And you are right. There are lots of restaurants in that area, and you all live very harmoniously. So I don't see any reason why this venue shouldn't have the same. And they're very willing to cooperate and, communicate. So I'm just hoping that your fears are slightly misfounded. And, not only that, you'll always have something, as my colleague says, the chair said, we can give you the details, numbers for the environment, officers. You can call, take evidence.
Where's your question?
Send it, sorry, apologies. So, so that's all my question. Thank you so much.
Councillor Noor?
Very short one, Chair. Thank you. I think we had the applicants and also the recent side of it. So my question is, are you happy so far? What do you heard from the applicant in terms of, number one, offering regular meeting at least twice a year to the resident to discuss any issues, providing phone numbers where if you have issue you can call them, that element of openness, or you want to hear more from their side?
I suspect once it's underway and you're not sitting with us, it will be a different situation. Obviously, I will be down in my nightie talking to the manager, asking them to turn down the music now, and environmental health will be approached, but it's a complicated thing. You have to take a recording over a period of time which is timed and give those, unless they're roving around at night and you can get them to come over at that particular time. It's actually quite involved making a complaint. But hopefully, Tracy's point, which she didn't speak, but I can say it, she wrote it down. I don't understand why a bistro needs music. Does anyone want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't micromanage the restaurant. If they were making a noise issue, then
Okay.
you can complain, but we cannot
We can't
micromanage a
actually-
restaurant.
Yeah, no, it's the
Especially
nature of the
since
business.
music
but-
isn't regulated,
Yeah,
okay? And also, many people like music in the background in a
it's
restaurant.
true.
It's,
They talk louder,
it's
though.
called background music. It's called,
Yeah,
or
okay.
setting music.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Chair, if I can just pop in on that. That there is one thing that we have been looking at. We've looked at mood management, we've studied it quite heavily, and we understand that there has to be a certain communication. We want people to be able to talk. So we look at the decibels from what we're looking at. 80 decibels, way too high. There's a sweet spot which we found, which people can communicate over a table, but it's ambient noise.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to shoot for here. It's not something that we're trying to be aggressive, and
No.
we understand the narrative
Yeah.
and where it is from Bagatelle. Your fears are not supposed to be about Bagatelle, I can assure you.
Yeah.
It is not about that. Bagatelle is a festive restaurant. This is very much, we're all getting older, as you can see from my hair.
Yeah.
It's time for us to kind of do other sites and
Yeah.
other projects, and we're very happy that the umbrella is growing now for us.
Okay. And we wish you well.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, you're not going to see the back of me too soon, so I'm sure we'll see each other fleeting across.
Just wanted to know, have you been invited into the restaurant? Yeah, so you're not, so for the soft opening maybe, or thereabouts, it would be, I think, do you agree, it would be a nice gesture to invite them in, to invite the
Absolutely.
neighbors in, let them hear, discuss the level of the music, and that all people can work together.
Absolutely agree, and letters will be going out in terms of contact details as well, and email addresses personally. I know we have to do the other things by way of condition, but we will be writing to everyone and to seek access to any flats that we can in terms of setting any limiters.
Would you be happy with that?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Because then you
perfect.
could comment on the level of the music, etc.
Sure. Also, with my harmonious relationship with places like Haya and Rosa Pomodoro, I used to have my business meetings there all the time. So if it's a harmonious relationship, I'm going to give you business.
Excellent. You're off to a good start then. That's great. And your other objector in the back is very well behaved. She's able to sleep. I don't think her sleep will get disturbed. She's sitting through our meetings. Next, does our legal officer have any questions of the objectors?
No, but before we start the draft conditions, I'll just discuss times briefly, because I think you've referenced a few things in your speech. Right, so moving on to the draft conditions which were circulated yesterday.
Sorry, the applicant, did you have any further questions for the objectors? I didn't think so. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I just wanted to clarify one other thing with the applicant. So, late night refreshment outdoors, bearing in mind your off-sale stop at 10 p.m. I think you've requested late night refreshment outdoors until 23:30 Sunday to Thursday, 24 Friday to Saturday. Is that what you want outside without alcohol?
Area was in terms of the pavement licence, should it be granted, and that we've said will cease at 10 p.m. for that.
So you don't need
so that's
late
not
night.
late night refreshment territory.
Yeah.
There is some, Deliveroo, we would like the option for that. That would be the only thing till 11 p.m. is all I need for that. As I said, we probably won't do that, but we wanted that flexibility.
Okay, so in terms of late night refreshment outdoors, restrict for Deliveroo only until 10 p.m. and you won't need it, obviously. Sorry, until 11 p.m. Hang on. But you don't need
Oh,
late
you don't
night
need
refreshment
it.
then, do you?
We don't need
sorry,
it.
just thinking it through. Yeah. So we will
Correct.
we will omit late night
Correct.
refreshment outdoors completely.
Yes.
Yeah, because you don't need it because it's deregulated. Up until 11 p.m. They don't need to have a licence. It's only after 11 p.m. So the outdoors bit. So alcohol outside stops at 10. You'll apply for your tables and chairs licence, which no doubt will finish at 10 as well. And obviously everybody has to be in by 10. Right, let's move on. Actually, Mr. Petrus, what times were you suggesting? Just before we move on to the conditions. So as it stands, alcohol on the premises ends at 11:30, and then there'll be a 30 minutes drinking up time to bring it to midnight close. So what time were you suggesting? I think you referenced some times for things in your...
I'd like to propose closing kitchen by 10 and restaurant closure at 11.
Hang on, just bear with me. Just so what close at 10 p.m?
Kitchen
Kitchen, all
and
right.
bar, I guess. And then restaurant close by 11. So everyone out the door by 11.
And the restaurant closed what time, sorry?
11?
11. And then when you say restaurant closed, do you mean the premises close?
Correct.
Okay. Right, obviously they've applied for later than that. Okay, fine. I just wanted to be clear what the parameters were. Okay, thank you. Right.
Thank you.
Turning to this document here, this is what has been put forward by the applicant, and to be fair, I haven't added any additional conditions because there are a lot of conditions offered on this. I've amended some of them, the wording in red, but I couldn't really think of anything extra to add, but there's a few queries. I'm going to start going through them. If you've got anything you wish to chip in with, please do so. So number 1, I don't have any comments, that's standard. Number 2 is standard. Number 3 is standard. Number 4 is standard. Slightly tweaked number 5. Applicant okay with that? Number 6, from 9 p.m, external doors shall be kept closed and windows locked shut. Number 8, premises licence holder shall provide and maintain a dedicated telephone number so people can make complaints during its operation. I've got my alternative wording in red. Are you okay with that? Just slightly amended. I think it includes an email address and a telephone number. That's right. Is that okay? Yes. Thank you. Number 9 is a standard drinking up, so people have to be off the premises after 30 minutes after licensable sales of alcohol. Number 10, alcohol shall only be sold by waiter, waitress, bartender service for consumption by customers seated at tables in the bar area. So it's not a standing vertical drinking establishment, it's a seated drinking establishment plus restaurant. So, except for condition 31, no alcohol to be taken from the premises in an open container, and condition 31 relates to the outside area. Are you okay with that? You've obviously offered the number 12 off sales finishing at 22 each day, and we'll add it on the time on the front of the licence. Are you okay with our standard CCTV wording and signage? Thank you. Challenge 25 plus signage. Staff training, my words in red. Thank you. I've just split out number 17 into rubbish, refuse and deliveries. Now, I think you said, were there certain times for deliveries, did you say, to the premises?
Correct. I think what we offered was between 7...
Can you put your mic on, please? So no deliveries between 2100 and, so did you say 9? 800. 8 a.m. Okay. And were the rubbish and refuse ones okay, timing wise?
Yes, we're using RBKC.
Okay, thank you. Number 18, just keep it for 12 months, the red wording in red.
Yes.
Number 19, so this is to organise a residents' meeting at least once every 12 months unless it's not required in writing, and to notify local residents association and the residents of 184B Kensington Park Road. Everybody okay with that, or no comments? Number 20, I haven't made any comments on. 21, I've just put written or electronic. 22, no speaker shall be positioned in the foyer or near the fire escapes. 23, all stereo, television and other audio equipment shall be wall mounted. Number 24, all air conditioning extract to be switched off at the end of the day. Number 25, patrons allowed to leave and re-enter, e.g. to smoke, shall not be permitted to take drinks or glass containers with them or obstruct the highway. Number 26, no licensable activities on the first floor. Number 27, from 9 p.m, a maximum of 5 smokers will be allowed to smoke outside the premises. Does anybody have any comments on that?
Yeah. I'm hoping that you could really limit the smoking outside, because I live directly above. I've got 3 windows. It's the main ventilation for my flat. And in the past, it's always been a problem. Even just 2 smokers has been a problem. The way the air just gets sucked right in my window, so the cigarette smoke goes straight into my flat. And as mentioned to you before, I have a heart condition. I need to be very aware of these things. So my request is to really limit the smoking out there.
What would your suggestion be?
I would really appreciate no smoking if possible.
But yeah, being realistic, what would you suggest? I mean, obviously smokers can't smoke inside because of the Health Act. They've got to go somewhere, and the premises licence holder can only really control within, the vicinity of their premises.
They could walk 10 steps further down the street to go in front of the church where there's no open windows. Be encouraged to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, I don't know if you've got any comments on that.
We can't,
There's a limit to how far we could,
yeah,
you
we
can condition.
cannot do that.
We hear the concerns to deal with that. Obviously, any condition, we will fight to try and be reasonable in the approach that it's a criminal offence if we had 3 people, if it was 2 and then 3 people went out. It's not something we encourage. We hear the concerns, and as long as things can be managed, we will work with you to deal with that.
Okay.
But I don't want to limit and cause issues, criminal issues, prosecutions in terms of the premise licence conditions.
It's hard to control smokers, to be honest. Right, okay, the councillors can take a view on that. Number 28, this is your sound limiting device condition. So all recorded music shall be relayed through a sound limiting device. Are you okay with the words linked to a graphic equaliser?
Yes.
Thank you. 29, dispersal and external management policy. That's fine. Be submitted. 30 and 31, when you said no delivery shall take place between 21 and 8, that's deliveries to the premises, is it? All right, okay. Okay, okay. And I think we were going to add a condition limiting off sales to just the outside area, won't we? So not for deliveries or takeaways, so to speak. Yeah. And then number 31, subject to you obtaining a pavement licence, sales of alcohol for consumption off the premises shall be restricted to customers seated on the front forecourt area served by waiter-waitress service. That's fine, okay. And you've already confirmed that you may be operating a food delivery service, but it won't be with alcohol. So that's fine. I can't think of any other conditions. Is there anything else that anybody has concerns about which they would like to discuss as a potential condition?
Do the objectors have anything to say? No? Okay. And do our licensing officers have anything to add?
Nothing from licensing, Chair.
Thank you. Governance?
Thank you. Nothing from us, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. We've reached the end of this meeting. The committee now has all the information needed, and we will retire to make our decision in private session. We will take all of the presentations and representations into account. We will not announce the decision today. Instead, the hearing will be closed. A summary determination will be sent to the parties within 5 working days of today's hearing, and a full decision will follow as soon as possible thereafter. The time limit for appealing the decision will not commence until the full decision has been sent to the parties. Thank you all for attending. The meeting is now closed, and I thank you all for your time.